Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com. Email your questions and comments to Lynn at pghcitypaper.com.
And welcome to a Thursday edition of Lynn Cullen Live. It is the 25th of February, 2016, a presidential election year unlike any we have seen in our lifetimes, I think. But we'll check that with our guest today, who is not with us in the studio, but who is joining us telephonically from Connecticut. And that is, of course, Jarad Day, historian, news junkie, and aggregator of that wonderful blog. Is that a blog? That's not a blog. Daily News Nuggets. Hi, Jarad.
Hey, Lynn.
How are you?
I'm doing pretty well. How about yourself?
I'm doing very well. I'm comfortably ensconced in the chair you so wonderfully gave us on your departure.
Oh, the Jarad Day Memorial Chair.
Yes, the Jarad Day Memorial Chair, ladies and gentlemen. It's very nice, and it doesn't squeak.
That's great.
I squeaked for years. All right, do you believe this race? Do you believe this race? Come on. You got Bernie Sanders on the Democratic side, who, frankly, running for the Democratic nomination, and he's not a Democrat. You've got Donald Trump looking like he's going to pull it off on the Republican side. And the New York Times on its front page today says this: on nearly every significant issue, Mr. Trump stands in opposition to Republican orthodoxy and his party's policy prescriptions.
Yeah.
This is nuts.
Well, you and I have been talking about this for a number of years, and I think in our previous talks, I had actually said that the Republican Party was going to go through a major breakdown this cycle. It was, when the last time you and I had spoken about it, it was the kind of thing. Well, I had thought it was going to go that way, but I did not see the detailed pathway that it would take.
I mean, you didn't think Donald Trump was going to capture the nomination, did you?
That's part of the detailed pathway that I didn't see.
Who did? Who did?
I would say that I did see that they would not be, the Republican Party as it was constituted in previous election cycles, that it would face a crisis here because of their various factions could not unify behind one candidate.
Right.
And that what we'd be seeing is potentially a split. That would leave in its wake a very different party, but not the one that we've historically known through most of your lifetime and my lifetime.
Well, I mean, what you have... Okay, so the influx of Tea Party candidates into the Congress, it seems, were those the first? That was the first dent in the Republican establishment's authority?
The first hint that they were in serious trouble. Because these people, they came in, almost all of them, with the view that one of the biggest problems conservatives faced was the Republican Party itself. And that it was a new thing, in my view.
And their problem with the Republican Party was or is what?
Well, it actually has taken a long time to really flesh out the answer to that question. And I think that from my point of view, what I see as the answer is that the problem the Republicans have faced is that they've relied on this enormous white working-class conservative base to which they offer nothing.
That's right. That's it.
Okay.
No, they have groomed that base to think that the only hope they have is the Republican Party. And it's taken the base this long to figure out that all they're doing is getting screwed.
One could even call this election cycle the Great Unmasking.
Or Frankenstein's monster.
Yes. This all started in the lead up to the 1980 election with Reagan, where the implicit deal that Reagan and the Republicans, it was explicit also in many areas, was that if you trust us with economic policy and our prescriptions for low taxes, small government, less aid to certain groups that have been getting aid, that if you and an aggressive foreign policy, if you trust us with those things, you will do better economically. You will succeed. You will prosper. Our country will prosper. And there was hints of this over the decades. There were moments where that seemed to work, but since 9/11, it's been an unmitigated disaster in all of those areas. And what you now finally have is Republicans, such as Trump himself, but he's not alone in this, unmasking the so-called establishment for basically selling these people a false bill of goods.
So,
and you now have a receptive audience out there, enough of those voters who are saying, yes, that is exactly what's happened.
So in that regard, you have Trump as Toto pulling the curtain on the Wizard of Oz and saying, here it is. Here is the great establishment. But what about the decades-long effort on the part of the Republicans to make government, to demonize government, to demonize media, to make their base distrustful of all these governmental institutions, and then they're surprised when they are so successful that their own party says, and you're part of it? I mean, their own base says, yeah, well, you've taught us well.
Well, it even goes further than the government critique, in the sense that they've put forward a decades-long assault on virtually all sources of authority.
Exactly.
With one or two exceptions, but the
exception with the military, military and the church.
Yes. So it's like anybody from academia, now it is anybody from the sciences, anybody from government, any lawmakers, state, local, or federal. It's like those people. I'm amazed that you still find people out there, running for office, and even at the presidential level, is trying to get certain people's endorsements. It's like that is not the currency that is going to win you elections in this kind of a mood, when voters are in this kind of a mood.
Well, you can see that. I mean, stop and think of the South Carolina primary,
Haley.
And Nikki Haley, who's like the queen of the Republican Party. Nikki Haley gives her endorsement to Marco Rubio, and he is just destroyed. It means nothing.
Correct.
Means
it's worse
nothing.
than that.
Maybe worse than nothing. Right.
Worse than nothing. If I am somebody, in the Republican side, the only I'm not. Sarah Palin's endorsement might help me, but it's like anybody who's a sitting lawmaker, a sitting governor, a sitting the member of Congress. It's like, be very leery of getting those people's endorsements. They just at best they make no difference, and at worst, in the verbal hands of somebody like Trump, he can make you pay for those endorsements.
What level of panic do you think the Beltway Republican establishment is at?
that it's hard. It's still hard to gauge, but the preliminary, like just this morning, there's been a series of very interesting articles, basically having a number of people. And it isn't just the establishment people who are hitting the panic button, but you even have the likes of Eric Erickson. Are you familiar with him?
Well, I know he's a big honcho on the right.
Yeah, for years he was the editor of townhall.com, and now he has his own website called The Resurgent. That he basically had he's one of the key talking heads on the right that has been far more receptive to the Tea Party, or I guess you'd call it movement conservative people that are out there. And he had an article the other day that basically said that if Trump is the nominee, he will not vote for him ever. Okay.
And he sees nothing, but Jarad, he in this article did not in any way acknowledge that he was a midwife at the birth of this man he will not support?
No. But I mean, to me, that is part and parcel of the misdiagnosis of most thinking Republicans about how this race was going to go.
That category, I like the category, thinking Republicans.
Yeah.
A dwindling
and I think
bunch.
there's a way more like them of Erickson's stripe, who will not be able to bring themselves
to vote for a Trump,
for the Republican nominee. Even Lindsey Graham, who
said he would.
Promised, held up his hand at one of those early debates, saying he would support Trump. He's already said that he would not vote for Trump.
You know, the New York Times front page today suggests that it's just seeming that there's no way to stop him. Even the numbers, the calculations. If Rubio is the great brown knight who's supposed to, save the party, the fact is their great savior has, in the last, he hasn't won a primary, and he was, 22 points behind Trump in Nevada? And he's
know.
Come on. This is, Trump is like this juggernaut right now. He is. He's going to win it.
I suspect so. And, one of the things that you hear in this morning's papers also is that there is growing effort amongst establishment Republicans to create some kind of a movement to stop him.
How? What?
Now,
How?
I don't think that they can succeed, but the question is how much damage are they actually do in their effort to stop him?
But what does that effort look like? It'll look like nasty ads, right? It'll be all that they're going to dig up everything they can on him.
Yes.
You've got Romney now at tonight's debate. Romney has put in a question that will be asked, and it has to do with Donald's tax returns. Hey, Donald, come on. And Donald, I follow him on Twitter. He's already tweeted something to Romney about, you're after. Nothing phases him. And his backers love the fact that he just says, fuck you. Fuck you. And they cheer. They're swooning in delight.
Yep. But this is part of that whole unmasking that I was talking about. It's like when people realize that they've been duped.
Oh, they're pissed. They are pissed.
Yeah, it's and this is sort of what happened here. This is not a crisis of the moment for the Republicans. There's been long-term damage done to the Republicans, just by virtue of how do they get these people back without coming out with some purely populist message. You can already see it with the people. Did you hear about the two Republican lawmakers who endorsed Trump yesterday?
Two Republican lawmakers. No, tell me whom.
Duncan Hunter was one of them.
Oh my God, California.
Yes, and one of the most
right wing,
kind of out of control anti-immigration lawmakers in Congress.
Right.
Somebody who has said almost as many ridiculous things as Donald Trump himself has said.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the order in which this is going to go, where you're going to have the most nutty, the most outrageous members of the party who are going to get behind Trump? What's that going to leave for the people who are actually more sane?
Well, but also opportunists are going to start jumping on his bandwagon, and they might.
Absolutely.
Okay, so you're starting to see that sort of McCarthy, their whip, saying, "Well, I could work with Donald Trump."
Right.
Ryan is probably apoplectic that he ever took this speaker's job now.
The New York Times had a piece on that this morning.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
So it's like they're on a collision course, the Trump and Ryan.
And Ryan. So you're the historian. I have been saying, often when you're living in what's clearly a historic moment, you don't even know it. But this time, you can see the trees, the forest, and everything else. If this ain't a historic moment, I don't know what is.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
This is textbook. This is books being written left and right. This is attempts to parse this for all time. This is changing. It might be the demise of one of the major parties.
Yes.
Unbelievable.
That has long been my view.
Wow. But can I just say this?
Sure.
The anti-establishment fervor is also evident on the Democratic side.
This is true, but I would say it is in much more. It lives much more within the realms of conventional history
and conventional Democratic Party history.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't have to look far afield to find clear precedents for what Bernie Sanders is trying to do.
But you have to admit, no one saw him staging this good a race. No one did. No one did.
Now, I have a slightly different take on that, and it is that nobody, I think, foresaw how bad a campaign Hillary Clinton was going to run.
Why would we think that? Why do we keep, come on. We saw her stumble and bumble her way 8 years ago. Make all the wrong choices, the brilliant Clinton political... And then, I guess what? We all assume she's so smart she'd not do that again?
Well, here's the thing. One of the things I had been tracking since the very beginning of last year was, okay, is she going to run the kind of campaign that she ran in the Senate, for when she ran for the Senate in New York, or was she going to try and run a campaign that was more analogous to what she did at the beginning of 2008? And clearly, well, now, at first, it looked like with her listening tour that she started out with, that it was going to be the Senate would be her touchstone. But no, it has actually been a reworking of 2008, and it has demonstrated again from 2008 was just how out of sync she is with the base of the party.
Well, there you go, and there you go. So you got it in, and that's troubling. That's troubling.
Yes.
And also, we are seeing how even if, and I would go to my grave defending the statement I'm about to make, even if she is so by far and away the most qualified candidate for president who's running, right now, anywhere on either side. She has zero charisma. You don't agree because you like her, but I got to tell you, zero charisma.
I disagree.
I know you do.
I think on this landscape it looks that way, but I mean, you have to look to the likes of certain other past candidates or other leaders like Angela Merkel to actually get to capture that, whatever the opposite of charisma is.
Dogged competence. It's not exciting. Whatever it is, it ain't exciting. And we Americans are brought up on excitement. We like entertainment.
Here's where her charisma comes in. And that is like when she was in front of that House Investigative Committee.
Oh, she was brilliant.
Absolutely.
Brilliant.
In those types of settings, she has charisma. But
yeah.
That's but
that's the world she knows, because that's in Congress, and that's the political wonk, smart cookie, great debater, woman, cool character. But But
here's the thing: it also contains the screw you dimension that has been very popular this election cycle.
That's true. That's true. Wow. I just and. Is there any chance you see of if are the Republicans at this point actually almost hoping for a brokered convention, which they haven't seen since what? 52.
I
think the last time there was more than one ballot was 52. Yeah.
Yep. And I would say that there is a group within the Republican Party that is hoping for that, and I think they are delusional. Because if they have to go to a second ballot, then it almost guarantees that Trump will not be the nominee. And if that happens, given the type of voters that he has and the type of delegates that he's probably going to have there, it'll make the 1968 Democratic Convention look like a Tea Party. Okay.
Yeah, but they won't be rioting they will be rioting in the streets.
They'll be There'll be physical
Watch out,
violence.
Cleveland! All right.
Yep.
There'll be physical violence.
I'm not joking.
Oh, well, that'd be something.
I mean, there were fistfights on the floor in 1968.
In 68, yes, or well, we remember.
It'll be the ugliest. It'll surpass 68, at least in terms of the floor of the convention.
Well, but that would be fitting and proper for a party that is at its own throat. I mean, I mean that it would become that. It would not be a shocker. So. I don't even know. Okay, so the unthinkable looks now like the probable. Donald Trump, the nominee of the Republican Party, and Hillary Clinton looks like she's a shoo-in too. So, imagine this race.
Yeah.
Can you?
Yes.
How?
It'll be the ugliest race in human memory.
And beyond. Human memory.
Well, there were races back in the 19th century.
Yeah, but we
had a number of aspects that are like this. But in living memory, there's going to be nothing that is going to surpass this election for ugliness.
Okay, we've got a call, Jarad. Hang on. Hello, caller. Go ahead.
Good morning. I listen to you every day.
Thank you.
But I think you're kind of tough on Hillary Clinton. I think the one thing I have observed over the years is that men stick together. Even the Republican men that are vying for position, they don't shoot at each other the way women do, not including Donald Trump, of course. But I think we need to do that. I think we need to look to Hillary Clinton as being a very knowledgeable and competent woman who has overcome a lot of obstacles in her life.
Well,
And,
yeah, I agree with you, but I mean, I'm also seeing her as a full. She will get my vote. I'm just
She's
not.
going to require more than your vote.
What's she going to require?
For every Democrat who genuinely cares about the outcome of this race, it's going to require everybody to get involved.
Against Trump, you see her.
Authentic. I don't see her as an actress, and that's what I like about her.
Okay.
She says it like it is.
All right. Thank you. And please.
You're my favorite.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
I have a slightly different take than the caller on Hillary Clinton, in the sense that I think so many of the things that are Hillary's strengths don't land as strengths because she's a woman.
Oh, I agree. No,
And
being
where
a
this-
yeah.
She shows up for me as far and away not just the most competent person, and this is Republican,
Right.
Democrat, it's just the most competent,
Without a doubt.
but also the toughest. And being a tough,
Woman.
kind of spine of iron kind of person, that usually looks really great if you're a man, whereas if you're a woman, it opens yourself up to all kinds of carping.
And yet,
And-
look at Maggie Thatcher. Look at Angela
Yes.
Merkel.
Yeah,
Yeah?
the words that just leap to your lips in describing people like that are so gender specific that it's just like, so I have that kind of similar thought as the caller.
But what you worried me because you said that it'll take more than my vote, that Democrats will need to get really... Are you suggesting that a Trump-Clinton race is going to be tight?
Not on Election Day. But it is. But what I think it's going to take is a tremendous amount of work to push her to victory.
What, to get the
yeah,
young people, to get the black people?
Mobilizing, and because right now the enthusiasm gap between Democrats and Republicans is quite worrisome.
Oh,
Okay?
because
And
Trump...
there's so many
yeah.
of, what's that?
I'm saying because the Trump people will be just gaga, and the Democrats will be... meh.
That's quite possible. I don't view it as inevitable. Donald Trump strikes me, and I think he strikes most Americans, if not, kind of on a subconscious level, as somebody who is a great stand-up comedian. If you ever watch his shtick,
Yeah,
it is like he has the exact and precise meter
and timing.
of a
Right.
stand-up comic.
Right, exactly. You're right.
His stump speeches are just endless, these kind of 2-minute vignettes where he's blasting this or cutting on that or you're criticizing this, and there's a punchline or two with each one of them. But that kind of routine, I see it as quite possible that will wear really thin by the time September and October roll around. At some point, I think he's going to have to demonstrate greater substance than that.
Well, imagine a debate on foreign policy.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. She'll
Yeah.
clean the floor with him. Can you take some comments and questions from our listeners on who are texting it or emailing?
Sure.
Okay. Joel wants to know, what is the slice of Republican and centrist voters who have A, been repulsed by Trump, yet B, are so emotionally opposed to Clinton that they will vote for Trump. And he says he's a former Southwestern Pennsylvania expat living too long inside the Beltway. Okay, so what is it that these people who are Republicans repulsed by Trump, yet totally incapable of voting for Hillary, will vote for Trump or will stay home?
Stay home.
They'll stay home.
I mean, it's those people that are gonna fight it out between now and the nominating convention. But that once, if Trump is the nominee, my prediction is that those folks will, in disproportionate numbers, stay home.
Yeah, but what?
But I'm not sure how big a slice that actually is going to represent at this point.
Also, we are forgetting Michael Bloomberg.
Yes.
All right, he had pretty much signaled that if Trump is the nominee or Sanders is the nominee, he's jumping in. If he does, will the Republican establishment move to him?
Maybe. But the word out of the Bloomberg camp is that their internal polling shows that there's just simply no demand for a Bloomberg candidacy.
Right. He can't
and
win.
Bloomberg is a nuts and bolts, reality-based enough candidate that matters.
Yeah. So here's another thought. I love this one from Denise. You were saying that if there's any attempt to broker a convention in Cleveland for the Republicans, it could make 1968 in Chicago look like a Tea Party. And Denise says this: I wonder if it'll be open carry at the GOP kind of convention.
Yep.
Can you see like just the fight at the OK Corral breaking out?
Well, it's going to be, if it goes that way. But the problem is that all along, the so-called establishment, you have to question whether they have the stomach for any kind of real confrontation. Their absence from this cycle has been noted for their timidity and their unwillingness to really do anything.
How important, if the window is closing on the Republican establishment now to stop Trump, how important is tonight's debate where Cruz and Rubio...
I missed that last part.
How important is tonight's debate? Do you think a lot of there's a Republican debate tonight. Do you think Rubio and Cruz will go they're fighting now for their lives. Yeah. Is this going to be ugly?
It's going to be I would think it's going to be a real battle between Rubio and Cruz. Rubio and Cruz. That Trump is going to be he'll do just fine.
What?
Jeez.
There's pictures of his wife that ran in Maxim, okay? I mean, not just naked, but real, in-your-face naked. Will the American people tolerate having a first lady when they're intimate with her vagina?
Yep. Well, it'll certainly mark a new level of women's emancipation in the First Lady's office.
Oh, dear God.
I don't know.
Dear God. Who could believe this?
Now, it leaves one of the questions out for me is how much of Trump's support is a protest vote? Because I can remember back in the times, with Pat Buchanan ran in '92, I was a registered Republican up in Connecticut. And I voted for Pat Buchanan because I was so upset with George H.W. Bush. And I'm wondering if there might be some kind of underestimation going on here of the degree to which so much of this may be a protest vote against the Republican way of doing business, rather than a genuine embrace of Donald Trump with all of his various positions.
I don't know. You voted
It's
for
an open
Pat
question.
Buchanan. I can't believe you just admitted you voted for Patrick Buchanan, even if it was to make a point.
Yep. Well, I knew he was going to lose.
But jeez, what a
I
slime ball.
I had forgotten at the time. I wasn't nearly as involved in politics back then. I eventually joined the Clinton campaign that year and worked very hard for them. But I realized as the primaries came in that I'd forgotten I was already registered up in Connecticut, and so I was like, well, what am I going to do? I want to vote for Clinton in Pennsylvania, but I couldn't. And so it's like, okay, well, then I'm going to vote for who can do the most damage to the Republican side.
Okay, speaking of primaries,
No.
I just want to say, as somebody who is living in Pennsylvania, I'm sick and tired of a bunch of Americans getting the chance to choose the people who will run for president, and the rest of us don't. You know, these things get sealed up because I mean, it's a totally undemocratic process by which these parties nominate their candidates.
Yes.
This is an outrage.
I've heard that there's a groundswell building for eliminating or changing the Iowa caucuses and the Nevada caucuses.
Changing them in what way? I mean, I just don't think...
Diminishing their significance down to nothing.
Because Nevada does not represent the United States. Iowa is not a representative state. New Hampshire, for God's sake, is not a representative state. And, I mean, why do we allow certain states to, and especially now with the way the media cover these races as races, I mean, when somebody's lagging behind, they just get knocked out before a voter in Pennsylvania or any other state can even have a chance to say, that's the guy I wanted.
Yeah.
It's outrageous.
It is. And I think that, as I say, there's a groundswell building for changing that. And they've actually, in this cycle, when we were covering Nevada, and I think that I don't know if it was New Hampshire, but there seems to be some kind of operating assumption within the Democrats and Republicans that the caucus primary opening format that we have now is slated for the scrap heap.
Well, that's...
I mean, as in, it's already on the horizon right now that this isn't going to be happening.
Okay, well, I guess that's a first little teeny-weeny start. Susan from Hempfield wants to know. She says, I would love to see a Hillary Clinton-Elizabeth Warren ticket. Who else would make a great ticket for either side?
I think that I know that the Clinton people are already vetting the
Castro,
Julian Castro,
right?
And to me, that would be an astonishing ticket right now.
A woman and a Hispanic, yeah.
Yes, and he's a very charismatic guy,
yes,
and he's just got a lot going. He's going for him.
He's a twin, right? He's a twin.
Yes, and his brother is an elected.
Right.
Is in politics as well.
Now, the neat thing about getting Castro is you could take his twin, and you could have him be. I mean, you could make twice as many campaign appearances. You know what I mean?
Yes, and you could actually end up having two bites. You never know which one.
No, I know. He could, Julian could be over here, and then there could be two Julians. No one would know. However, okay, so
Elizabeth Warren,
it ain't going to happen.
I've been curious about her reticence in this campaign so far, because both Hillary and Bernie have been courting her assiduously. Bernie, I think, more so. But, I'm just curious as to why she's choosing to be silent.
Well, maybe it makes her more powerful.
But there's shelf life on that power in this primary season.
But her politics are more in tune with Bernie's than Hillary's.
Yes, but if Hillary is likely to be the winner, it would probably behoove Elizabeth, if she wanted to, say, post some kind of litmus test or some promise, to wheedle some promise out of Hillary, if she should become the president, there's some wisdom in that also.
Okay, who else could you conceivably see if Castro, I mean, we've known it's Castro forever, but is there anybody else being talked about on the Democratic side?
There's the, I think he's a senator or governor from Virginia. What's his name? I can't remember his name right now. The one who was very much involved with both Obama and with Clinton. Can't remember his name right now.
Okay. Is he?
It's not the.
It's not Jim Webb.
No, it is.
It's not. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. But,
no,
okay.
There's somebody there. Let me see.
It's Julian
I know
Castro.
that Kristen Gillibrand will probably get vetted. I doubt if she'll get chosen.
Just because 2 women is too much?
Yep.
2 women from New York.
That's it.
Hey, by the way, look at all the candidates from New York. They're all from New York.
Where these people come from?
They're all New York. Every single one of them. So what about Donald Trump? Who will be his running mate?
Kasich.
No.
Yep.
No.
Now, it could be that he has too many scruples to say, oh, sure, put me on the ticket. That's possible, but I think all along that has been Kasich's gambit. He's been playing for the VP slot as a moderate from Ohio. He has tremendous cash in that way, and it would be Trump's kind of sop to throw to the establishment wing of the party, and from but it remains to be seen. Maybe you'll notice that at least I have not heard Kasich say that he would not.
Well, I haven't heard him asked. Right, I haven't heard him asked. Okay, is it conceivable that I'm sorry, I'm
the way that some others have.
Okay, I'm peppering you with questions now.
That's right.
Is it conceivable that Ted Cruz will lose Texas?
Yes.
To Trump?
Yep. Yes.
Is it conceivable that Marco Rubio would lose Florida to Trump?
I think it's probable.
You're kidding.
No,
you're saying both these
Trump,
states will vote against the guys that are their own senators?
According to this morning's polling, Trump is already ahead in Florida by margins outside the margin of error. And that in Texas, they're tied. Cruz and him are tied. And if he wins we'll have to see how it plays out. But, it's like I think Cruz is on the defensive right now, whereas Trump is kind of basking in a certain amount of, he has a certain amount of momentum right now.
That's an understatement. I mean, He just looks like a juggernaut. And there's something weird going on in that if you talk to the people who love him, and I have talked to them because they're in my life.
Yeah, my brother and I have too.
Yeah. And I think that some people all you hear if you go to certain restaurants and certain places, people are just talking and talking, and they are trading stories. Did you hear he said this? They love this. It's almost like a party. It feels like a mosh pit. It feels like you can't not get in. Everybody's just jumping in now because this is fun.
Well, I would say I that is my perception, but boy, it doesn't feel fun to me. I'll tell you that.
Okay, are you? I mean, is this frightening to you? It's interesting.
Yeah.
But it is frightening.
Yeah.
Explain your fear.
Well, that it has several layers to it. One being that when this is all over, there is always the danger that Trump could win, and I think it's a small chance.
But he's been underestimated. He's been underestimated before.
Exactly right. And if he were going against Obama, I would have no concern whatsoever. But he's going against Clinton. And the Clintons have shown a capacity for slipping on the banana peels and ending up in the orchestra pit too many times.
Yep.
And it's like, if that happens in the general election, it's a junk ball. To mix my metaphors there a little bit.
Okay, so your fear is that Trump could win. Now
that is one fear.
Okay.
The other fear, and I think is what is the political landscape going to look like when this is all over?
Right.
And on the one hand, as a committed liberal and a Democrat, it would sound like, well, it would be really great if the Republican Party had a meltdown such that they were really marginalized after this election. That sounds like something to be desired. However, what's on the other side?
That's right. There can always be something worse.
And you're actually hearing both Republicans, people who are worthy of being taken seriously, talking about what the party will look like on the other side. And it sounds to me like it'll be so much more populist, so much more Tea Party-like, and it's like ugly. Just and an ugly shadow that who knows what damage they can do.
So I mean,
and
then the F word starts coming up, fascism.
Yeah, well, I like the term populist better.
But this is a populism that is leaning to the right, which pulls us toward fascism. I'm sorry, I'm just saying.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
But
here's what I want. Okay, let's say
yeah.
Let's go back to your first fear. Trump wins. Imagine. First of all, that would put the White House in Republican hands, the Congress probably still Republican, maybe the Senate not, and the Supreme Court, because now they'll be able to start packing it up again, in Republican hands. Okay, that's enough to fuel my nightmares for the next 4 years. But imagine his White House. Imagine him on the world stage. Imagine it. Can you?
Yeah.
Can you?
No. But that for me, I have those fears about how it could all go. However, in terms of what I think is going to happen is it's going to be a landslide in favor of the Democrats. That they're going to win going away, not just the White House, but they're going to take back the Senate, and they're going to endanger the House majority for the Republicans.
I think you're dreaming.
Well, say more about that.
What? Say more about that? I can see Hillary winning. I can see the Senate going back to the Democrats, rather on a slimly back to the Democrats. And but there's no way you make much of an inroad in the House because those are all those friggin' gerrymandered, unassailable seats.
Sure, but well, I'm basing it on what Republican operatives are saying, that if the landslide is big enough, it'll endanger that majority, because the gerrymandering, it was intended as a lock, but a landslide election, it can really, and I'm not predicting that that the Democrats are going to take the House.
You even said Trump can win. So, how do we get from Trump could win to a landslide for Hillary?
Well, it's just in terms of it's because of the Clinton piece.
Of their ability to shoot themselves in the foot.
Exactly. They pick and spread out their own bananas. It's like for the Clintons. So it's like it's just going to be part of the campaign that they're going to be giving the Republicans some ammunition to hurt the Clintons' own campaign. It's something that is, in my view, quite predictable. But I still think that Trump is going to lose, that I think he's going to lose in a landslide, and he's going to take down the Republican Senate with him.
Well, what's not to celebrate about this scenario?
It's simply what's going to be left on the political landscape afterwards.
The rubble.
The rubble. What kind of an opposition party will the Republican Party become? I think it could inaugurate a period of just profoundly ugly, unthinking, ideologically.
What's about? Well, I don't know, but all your adjectives to me already apply.
Yes, but it can be worse.
Xanax for everyone. We're putting Xanax in the water supply. Okay?
There you go.
I promise if I'm elected, I will put Xanax in all the water. So we'll be able to get through this.
Yeah.
Gee.
Well, as I say, it's going to be the ugliest election in living memory, and people just need to get fill their prescriptions now, and stock up on their liquor cabinets, because it's going to be ugly, ugly, ugly.
So, oh dear God. I sometimes I vacillate between just shaking my head and even laughing a little to absolute terror.
Yeah.
Sort of like you are probably. 1 minute you're chuckling.
That's exactly right.
And then it hits you. What do you historians call something like this? Is this transformational?
Oh, there's various adjectives that kind of play, and the ones that I usually resort to is kind of the political tectonics change. And this has only happened a couple of times in U.S. history. And perhaps we've talked about them before in your program.
Well, again, but surely the election, the birth of the Republican Party and the election of Abraham Lincoln would be one.
Well, you actually have to go back to the 18 teens with the fall of the Federalists.
Oh, okay.
That after the War of 1812, the Federalists, as publicly as possible, opposed Madison's war against Britain, and then at the end of it, the voters punished them for being like traitors after the War of 1812.
And that was a huge pushback.
And it ended the Federalists.
Okay.
It ceased to exist.
Huh.
And then you have to move up to about the early 1850s with the collapse of the Whig Party. This is around 1852, when the incoherence and the contradictions, the Whigs could never really bring themselves to take a position on slavery that made any sense. And with 1852, it all just fell apart. And then the same thing happened to the Democratic Party in 1860, where you had, if you remember the election of 1860, there were actually 4 major candidates running.
There was this new Republican. There was
Abraham Lincoln.
There was the Democrat who was who?
There was two Democrats.
There were two Democrats.
There was Stephen Douglas.
Oh yeah.
And Breckinridge from the South. He was
that party was split.
I think that was Breckinridge, because there was actually another one, the kind of a Southern Unionist, a Middle States Unionist candidate, Bell. So you had Bell, Breckinridge, Stephen Douglas, Abraham Lincoln. They were all running, and each kind of represented fragments from the political landscape that had existed up until that primary season.
I see. But this new upstart Republican Party triumphed with Abraham Lincoln.
Yes.
Yeah.
But then you have to move forward to 1932.
Yeah, with FDR.
With the collapse of the old Coolidge Republican Party.
Right.
And
they didn't come back till after World War II.
Well, they never came back.
Oh, that was gone.
It was gone. And what you saw come back afterward is the Thomas Dewey Eisenhower Republican.
Yeah.
That's what emerged out from the dust there. But people forget that the Republicans, they were out of the White House for 20 years.
Exactly. But you know what? It looks like there's a chance we're gonna break that record.
Could be.
So,
but I see this is one of those moments where the basic party structures are shifting, and I'm predicting that the Republican Party at the end of this, it's going to be either it's going to melt down or it's going to split.
Yeah. Okay, so here we got something from Jen, and I've heard this from people. People believe this. She says, I still think the Trump run for president was put up by the Clintons to ruin the Republican Party. Just look at Trump's kids and Clinton's kid as best friends. I mean, what does that say? Sure, there are a lot of dumb, unhappy white Americans, but not enough to overtake the Clinton-Sanders supporters in November. Okay, so a lot of people still think that?
I've toyed with the idea. It's sort of a fun idea to play with. What would the conversations have looked like? Where they plot this devious electoral hoodwink.
But in doing this, they never envisioned that they'd end up, if in fact they were Trump and the Clintons were doing this together, that they would end up facing off in November.
Correct. That seems logical, but in so many ways, the whole project is illogical.
Well, true. God knows it is illogical.
It's like there's so many ways, especially if you're dealing with Donald Trump. It's just like that this could have gone wrong. It's just like it just on that basis alone, it seemed like an unlikely ploy.
Oh, God. So, quickly, because we only have a few minutes left, the current intransigence on the Republicans' part regarding the president's constitutional responsibility to send them a nomination for the Supreme Court.
Yep. Quite a gift to the Democrats.
It is, isn't it?
It's like, thank you, Antonin Scalia.
Wow. And thank you, Mitch McConnell. What are they thinking?
They are trying. Well, their initial effort was trying to put this issue to bed before the elections, before people are really paying attention to the Senate races. They're hoping to have this be just a settled issue where, okay, it's not going to be considered. That's it. And to demonstrate strength to their base and to kind of give them what they want and just kind of shut down the whole conversation. And, of course, it's going to be the exact opposite.
Because the White House is going to find someone that is impeccable. There's already talk that they're looking at the Republican governor of Nevada? Sandoval.
I think that wasn't serious.
It's a Hispanic, Sandoval.
I think they were just throwing that out there as to let's see what happens if we put this name out there, and they got exactly the information they wanted,
which was it won't matter.
They kind of got the Senate Republican leadership to respond, and to kind of tip their hand in certain ways, and to put kind of a stress test on some of the weakest Republican senators.
Wow. Well, hey, Jarad, boy, I've missed you. We've missed you. And I'll just quote one of our listeners, Josh, who says, I'm listening in real time. I love it when Jarad Day is on the show. Thanks for helping me get through these interesting times. They can be stressful. Living through history can be tiresome and scary, but shows like this make it bearable. Thank you, guys. So we'll let Josh have the last word. We'll have to do this again, Jarad.
Well, if you would like, we can do. If you don't mind doing it by the phone, we can do it on a regular basis. If you would like.
Well, we can try. You know what? I have to tell you, there were a few times where your phone, where you garbled. And
yeah, same at your end.
On my end too. Anyway, it's scared. It's scared that. Yeah. And also, Lynn and Jarad, Chuck writes, I've been willing to concede for a long time now that Trump would be the last man standing, but I'm starting to wonder if the party elite, such as McConnell and Ryan, will allow Trump to continue. Already we are seeing Republicans like Romney criticizing Trump. I'm wondering if there's a party takedown in the works. Well, there's certainly an attempt, yeah.
Yeah.
What if somebody kills him? Excuse me.
I don't even...
Okay,
I can't
don't
even
go there.
imagine.
Okay, all right. I hope his Secret Service protection is pretty good because I can see somebody just saying, hey, we just got to take him out.
It certainly is a possibility.
No! Gee whiz! Jarad, thank you.
Thank you, Lynn.
All right. Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, guys. Tomorrow, by the way, I got another doctor's appointment real early in the morning, and you know how it's over at the hospital, and I just don't know how long. We're going to shoot for a 10:30 starting time. And if I'm not here at 10:30, it's the doctor's fault. It's his whole fucked up healthcare system that doesn't work, okay? You have a great day. Watch this debate tonight. CNN. I think it's going to be something. Toodles.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper, Steel City Media, and its advertisers.